What's going on everyone? Jam is here back with another Street Fighter V video, and this video here is a continuation video in the matchup breakdown series where I discuss some important points regarding all of Mika's matchups in Street Fighter V. Now we've gone over 15 matchups so far, all of which you can find on my YouTube channel. But for our 16th video, which is the last of the characters that were initially released for Street Fighter V, let us take a look at how our 7 coloured bomber fares against Street Fighter V's poster boy, Ryu. So to kick things off, we will be covering the first topic of these breakdown videos, and that is how Ryu goes about punishing dropkick. The first option you are seeing here is Ryu's heavy Shoryuken. Shoryuken is a pretty standard yet effective solution to the dropkick, not to mention it nets Ryu some decent damage for a singular hitting move. What's also good about the heavy Shoryuken is that it can also catch the fake dropkick, which really makes Mika think twice about using it. If Ryu reacts too late, then he'll be heavily punished by Mika on landing. The next solution you are seeing here is Ryu's standing hard kick. Standing hard kick is the go-to crush counter option Ryu has, in which when it connects, leaves Mika in an airborne spinning state. Now the follow-ups from crush counter standing hard kick are fairly decent. Ryu can go for another normal attack afterwards via standing hard punch or standing hard kick for the air reset, or he could go for crouching hard kick to score a knockdown. If he fancies getting more damage, then he can simply cancel into one of his specials, i.e. Shoryuken or the hurricane kick, which is probably what he'll do. The final answer Ryu has against Mika's dropkick is none other than his V skill, Mind's Eye. Mind's Eye is probably Ryu's best answer to the dropkick in my personal opinion, as it parries the move and allows Ryu to take action before Mika recovers. From here, Ryu can basically go for any combo he wants. The combo will most likely start from a standing medium punch, and depending on his resources, can net some serious damage. Take note though, the V skill leaves Ryu in a counter hit state, so if he mistimes the V skill, then he'll get crush countered by the dropkick and be put in a dangerous situation once the combo is done. Overall, Ryu has some powerful yet straightforward options against the dropkick. They each come with repercussions, but these are the most damaging options in my opinion. And sometimes you need to hit Mika hard in order to deter her from using her dropkick. The second thing I will be discussing will always be a follow-up to the previous section, and that is how Ryu goes about anti-airing Mika. The first answer you are seeing here is Ryu's crouching hard punch. Crouching hard punch is Ryu's normal attack anti-air, which when done in the right position can work pretty well, though it can trade with certain buttons that have a great downwards hitbox. But unfortunately for Ryu, crouching hard punch can lose to dive bomb, so if Ryu relies on this option too much, then he can expect the body splash to beat it. The next anti-air option Ryu can use is the iconic move Shoryuken. Shoryuken is the typical anti-air Shoto characters use for when their opponents tries to jump in on them. The later Ryu inputs the Shoryuken, the more invincibility frames he'll have to work with. What's really good about the Shoryuken anti-air is that it can also tackle Mika's dive bomb, ensuring Ryu doesn't have to deal with Mika's aerial approach at all. Another thing Mika needs to be wary of regarding the Shoryuken is the cross-cut version. If Mika tries to go for a cross-up jump light kick in neutral, then with the right timing, Ryu can input the reversal last minute and stop the cross-up attempt, which ultimately prevents a mix-up. One final thing to note is that Ryu can use his V skill as an alternative to dealing with regular jump attacks. You may have come across a Ryu online using this. It's not bad, but it's not good either. It's to help with the psychological aspect if the situation happens again. If Ryu parries the jump attack, then try to block, as you will recover in time without being punished. Ryu will probably try to take advantage of the situation regardless. All in all, Ryu only needs the one anti-air option against Mika, and that is his Shoryuken. There are situations where Mika can bait the uppercut, but for the most part, Shoryuken completely nullifies Mika's aerial approach. Moving on to the third topic, which is something that is important when it comes to the Ryu matchup, and that is how Mika goes about dealing with Ryu's Hadoukens. As we know, Hadouken is a huge part of Ryu's toolset. I mean, it's one of the moves people remember him by. But in Street Fighter V, there's quite a few ways to circumvent Ryu's projectile, and Mika has some pretty decent answers. The first answer you are witnessing here is Mika's crouching hard kick. Crouching hard kick is Mika's meterless answer to projectiles that travel horizontally. Mika slides under the fireball and scores a knockdown, allowing her to gain some sort of momentum. Crouching hard kick can be used against Ryu's V-Trigger 1 Hadoukens as well, but if you're going to use this solution, then you need to anticipate a fireball rather than trying to react to one. projectiles travel at different speeds, and you don't want to get caught out trying to react. The next answer Mika can use is her EX Shooting Peach. EX Shooting Peach is a great answer against projectiles for numerous reasons. The startup is significantly faster than crouching hard kick, and it has armored properties, allowing you to use this move on reaction to fireballs. The only downside to this option is that Mika is spending meter to find a way in, and you won't have this option at all times. This option also works against Ryu's V-Trigger 1 fireballs. This takes a bit of practice, but when Mika is up against someone with a decent fireball game, try using this option. Another thing EX Peach can do is punish Ryu's fireballs on block. Ryu's projectiles are -6 on block, so if Ryu's not careful, then Mika can get an easy punish. Ryu players will probably do certain strings into Hadouken, so it's up to you as a Mika player to memorize those strings and test whether or not Mika can use EX Peach to punish. Now if Ryu does either EX Hadouken or the V-Trigger 1 version and you block it, then EX Shooting Peach will not punish them as they are safe on block, which is fair because Ryu is spending meter. If Mika does the EX Peach, then she leaves herself open to being severely punished. The last thing Mika may want to consider is how to deal with Ryu's fireballs from full screen. At times Ryu will be extremely far away, and jumping, crouching hard kick, even EX Shooting Peach won't be of any use, which can make things difficult for Mika. Now the best solution to dealing with fireballs from full screen is by using her partner in crime Nadeshiko. By using V-Trigger 1 and having one bar available, Mika can close the gap on Ryu and even get a punish on the Hadouken. I know, this is incredibly expensive for punishing something so small, but it's a real game changer. With the Nadeshiko solution, you definitely have to try and anticipate a fireball, because if you use her on reaction, then Ryu can block in time. It's not a bad thing, you close the gap of course, you just don't get a punish. Mika has some really useful anti-projectile tools, some of which come at a huge risk. So when going up against a character with a traditional fireball, you will want to know how to deal with them accordingly. The fourth point being mentioned is another thing that is pretty standard when it comes to the Ryu matchup, and that is how Mika properly punishes Ryu's EX Shoryuken. EX Shoryuken is Ryu's invincible reversal, not to mention it's one of the highest damaging reversals in Street Fighter V. With the cost of 1 bar, it can basically beat anything on startup, but if the move is properly baited, then Ryu can get punished heavily. Now the optimal crush counter punish against the Shoryuken begins with Mika's crush counter dropkick. Once it connects, Mika dashes up and follows through with her regular B&B, the standing medium punch into standing hard punch, and you cancel that into heavy shooting peach. This will net Mika just over 300 damage. Now if Mika has meter on deck, then she can change the follow up by doing a micro walk into the forward hard punch, cancel into heavy shooting peach, and then go for an EX Shooting Peach afterwards. This will net her just over 350 damage, which is amazing for a crush counter. The next punish you are looking at is one of my favourites, and that is from a counter hit jumping hard punch. After the jumping hard punch, go for a forward hard punch and cancel into heavy shooting peach. Then you go into EX Shooting Peach. As stated before, this is Mika's highest punishing combo outside of using V-Trigger, and it has great screen carry. Now if Mika doesn't have any meter available, then she should just go for the standard B&B after landing a counter hit jump in, which still leads into some decent damage. The last way Mika can go about punishing EX Shoryuken is by using V-Trigger 1 in her combos. There's various ways Mika can go about using the Deshko to help with the punish. You can call it as Ryu is landing and combo into her, or you can go into a V-Trigger activation midway. The former inflicts more damage than the latter due to not being affected too hard by the scaling. Ultimately you should be looking to net around 400 damage. Now when it comes to punishing Ryu's Shoryuken, no matter what route you choose to take, just make sure that you are optimal, because you don't want to leave any damage on the table. The fifth and final point I want to mention for this video will be shifting over to the V-Trigger side of things, and that is how Ryu's V-Trigger 2, Kako Fubatsui, can affect Mika. For those of you that don't know, Ryu's V-Trigger 2 is a much more potent version of his V-skill, a tool which he received at the start of Season 3, which when it connects, puts the opponent in a crumple state and can lead to a world of hurt. One move Ryu can use his V-Trigger 2 against is Mika's dropkick. This option is extremely good against the dropkick because it leads to an abundance of damage afterwards. Ryu can do the V-Trigger 2 parry pretty last minute as well. If Ryu is not in V-Trigger 2 already, then he can freeze time and still get it to connect. It's that good. Another situation Ryu can use V-Trigger 2 in is when Mika tries to go for a jump in. If the parry successfully lands, then Ryu gets way more damage than a regular anti-air because the parry brings Mika down to the ground. But if the Mika player knows that, then they might go for an empty jump to try and bait Ryu's parry. At that point, Ryu should revert back to his original game plan and anti-air with his Shoryuken. Trust me, the parry can create crazy mind games. Another thing Ryu's V-Trigger 2 can do is actually parry Nadeshiko. Depending on the situation, if Ryu successfully parries Nadeshiko, then he can be left potentially at +5 frame advantage. He can't do anything afterwards due to the pushback, but it's pretty cool because Ryu eliminates Nadeshiko entirely for a small amount of his V-Trigger. But he may get thrown out of his parry, it all depends on the situation. With this V-Trigger 2, Ryu can play some extremely good mind games with Mika, simply because the V-Trigger 2 can act as a huge deterrent. So as a Mika player, it's in your best interest to study this V-Trigger and find out where Ryu may potentially try to use it. And that's pretty much it for the video, people. Hopefully by watching this, you now understand the Mika-Ryu matchup a little better than you did before. In my personal opinion, I think the matchup is pretty even. When Mika has no meter, it's quite hard for her to get in because Ryu has legit answers to all of Mika's approaches. However, when Mika does get meter, the matchup instantly changes. Ryu can't throw fireballs as liberally as he could before, which ultimately can allow Mika to close the gap easier. Head into training mode and practice dealing with Ryu's fireballs, in the neutral and punishing them on block. Also mess around with all versions of Ryu's Shoryuken because they all serve a purpose in this matchup. Don't forget to lab both of his V-Triggers because he can use either one against Mika. Let me know how you felt about the video in the comments below. Was the information helpful? Did I miss out something that you felt I should have put in the video? All feedback is greatly appreciated. If you enjoyed the video and have not subscribed to the channel, then why not subscribe? If not, thanks for watching anyway. I'll also leave my other social media outlets in the description below if you want to follow me on those as well. I've made a playlist for these matchup breakdown videos now, so the link to that will be in the description below as well. This has been your boy HC Jammers, and I will see you guys on the next video. So until then, take care and enjoy the rest of your day.